Hey everyone, it's been so long since I've done this, but not too long. This almost is an impromptu. Let's fix this. Yeah. This is almost an impromptu talk because for the longest of times I've been feeling like God has been trying to allow me to share the perspective that I have based on race and what is the real issue? What are the real issues that we face? But also, what are some of the solutions, practical solutions, that can really help bring the healing and the restoration that everyone seems to be crying for? I say seems not to be condescending, but because everyone is saying that they're right? Everyone's saying that they have the answer and they have the means and the method to bring that healing that everyone wants, but not everyone can be right because everyone is employing different means, different methods of bringing about this healing. So again, we're talking about race relations. We're talking about mending the past and the hurt that has come from the past. Specifically racial tensions in terms of slavery and also in the 1960s Jim Crow laws and all that stuff. And I'll just list out a few things and just share what I believe God is trying to say concerning these items. I think the overarching theme here is that everyone is on either side of the camp. One side's wrong and one side's right. For example, everyone thinks that all white people have this prejudice, and I mean that all of them have this prejudice against black people or people of minorities, and that it is evident in every single aspect of our society, namely in the business world. Basically anything that has to do with success and rising above and making a name for yourself is blamed by people of color, blaming white people specifically for these injustices to why they are where they are right now. To speak on that, this perspective, I may be black, but the perspective I'm coming from is a what perspective can we say? Is an American citizen who is an immigrant at the same time. So that means my family came to America in 2004 in January actually, and we came here to Jacksonville, Florida, and have lived here ever since. Our grandmother was here before that, and with our grandfather, who ended up passing away close to the turn of the decade, 2010 maybe, 2011. But ever since we came to America, my father has instilled in us the one thing that has driven basically everything that my siblings and I are trying to achieve, is that you have to get an education and you have to succeed in that, and then you will go places. A lot of my family members have struggled, and my dad has always made that promise. He's like, I want to be the last one to struggle. So my dad came at it from the angle that you are the master of your own destiny, in the sense that you can choose what you want to be in terms of success. I'm a Christian, so I believe that God really is the one who tells you how to be successful. But in the meantime, you go to your school, you do your school, and you come out with a better understanding of what you would like to do, and then you go do it. So most of this is not really based on who's around you, right? It's basically based on you and your decisions on how you want to carry your life. So you can't blame anyone when things go wrong, right? There are some very rare cases where you can, but if you look back on your own life and you see all the opportunities that you missed or messed up, who really is there to blame? You know, I can think of things myself where even though I came to live here in America and prize education, I messed up some of my educational uh, semesters because I wasn't taking them seriously when I went to college. We could say that it was hard, but I just, how do I phrase it? Not necessarily underestimated. Yeah, I guess I overestimated. Yes, there it is. I overestimated my capacity to skate through education, and that's not how it is, and that's not how it should be. Even those people who go to Ivy League areas, right? You know, schools, there is a lot that is placed on them, and they know that, right? They know if they slack, you know, it may not set them back all that much, but it's there enough to know that this is something that cannot be skirted along. Like, you have to put in the effort, put in the work. And so this is why I don't buy the narrative that it's, you know, white people have had this advantage that black people cannot meet, if that makes sense, that they cannot build themselves. And it's like, if you look now, right, look again, what are the opportunities that you yourself have said no to because you thought they were too hard, and then you see a person succeed in the same thing that you wanted to succeed, and you know, that depresses you because you're like, I could have done that, and I so could have done that, right? Especially now that you're on the other side and you have more confidence, let's say, and you're like, yeah, I can definitely go do that. You know, it's still difficult, but you did not take the opportunity, right? And this is not to bash people, because again, I've missed many opportunities where I regret. I'm like, oh, man. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if we start looking internally and say, okay, what have I done? And then begin to fix our life from that point, it'd be so much better for you and for society at large. So I think, what is it? When I'm speaking from a person, this is an African person who has come to America, is a citizen of America, and looking at life and the opportunities that have been presented to me, and comparing those to, you know, my black brothers and sisters, and, you know, in the nation, I realized that pity will take you nowhere. Especially on a mass scale, pity will take you nowhere. It'll just bring more destruction and more hurt. It'll bring more division, because what you're basically hoping for is that everyone is going to come to your aid. But are you really crippled? That's really the question. Are you really crippled? Are you really hurt? And this is coming from a person that also has an eyesight issue. I have night blindness. So in dark places, in dark areas, I can't I can't operate as effectively unless I know, unless I've been there, right? So like my house, I don't have to turn on the lights. I can walk around my house because I have a clear understanding, or at least remembrance of, okay, this is where this item is and this is where this item is. So that, you know, poses the question of, should I always rely on other people to help me, and or no, not to help me, to do things for me that I myself can do for myself, because I figured out a way of getting them done, right? And that's ultimately the line between being pitied and obviously being prideful to not ask for help, but then also realizing that you can do these things, right? There's nothing really holding you back, unless it's just your mental capacity and thinking, I can't do this. And so that's something that I'm realizing is like, my Black brothers and sisters, are you really crippled? Or, right now, speaking as of now, are there opportunities that you can take that are not easy? And I think that's the issue we're having here. It's like, yes, privilege does exist, no doubt. But it's not impossible for people who are not privileged to go from non-privileged to privileged, right? We hear all of these success stories. How many of these businesses that have started now where the CEOs had nothing, right? CEOs were not, they had nothing. They went into debt, they went into bankruptcy, they went into, losing things and fires, being stolen from, but they kept pushing, right? And I think that's the ultimate mindset that everyone needs to have. It's like, I don't have everything right now, but it doesn't mean I can't have everything right now. And I sure will not rely on another person to do this for me, to give me the things that I need, the things that I require. Don't be too prideful to ask for help when you know you need help, but don't exploit people who are offering help to you. They're offering help to you. I think of affirmative action as one example that I use. And it's like, one of the things that is interesting about affirmative action is, again, it targets minorities in companies, in schools, I guess, in specific spheres. And what begins to happen is, if you start forcing people to meet quotas, the standards of the institution begin to suffer. And it's not even the people, the minorities' faults per se. It's more so like, can you handle the rigorous amount of work that's being required of you, right? And I'm speaking for people like, Asians. Asians are considered minorities, but they thrive in schools, right? And I'm speaking for those people who, they have a good college in their own town, but because of this mindset of colleges, like, okay, students, they apply everywhere, and and they apply to the schools that are notable and are great and have some sort of national reputation, and they end up going into, one, tons of debt, but two, they end up struggling through it when they could have done better at the college that at their in-state college that still has some reputation to it. It has good going for it. It's not like America's higher education is probably, it's up there, right? We have some very good schools that are up there. I think, because again, we prize secondary education. So in every state you can find like either a top tier college or one of the top tier colleges, right? I live in Florida, so we have UF, you have UNF, you have FSU, you have UCF, you have USF, FIU, Miami. You have we have so many colleges, right? But you have people leaving all of these in the state and going up north because they want to go to, I don't know, these Ivy Leagues, and it's like, unless you can get in, and I'm not saying that, right? If you can get in, go, and you'll be successful there, go, right? But don't look down on where you are as if this cannot be matched. This cannot be as great as an education as, whatever college you insert there. And it's like, it's very interesting. So, affirmative action, that's what I was talking about, and just that idea that you have to force specific groups of people into your school, and it's like, that's an advantage for us as minorities, right? And so you sit there and you're like, what more can I be given, right? You have government assistance, and I can speak on that. Government assistance isn't supposed to be something you live on. It's supposed to be something that helps you get out of the spot that you're in, find something better, and move forward. That is its primary goal, right? I know people who take advantage of it, and it's so sad because, one, there are people who need it more than they, and again, you can clearly see that, right? They're up and about, they're moving, they may be working, they may be, living with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and they don't want to claim marital status so that they can be single and receive these, just gaming the system. And I'm like, golly, dude. And even if they're married, it's still not done well. So I think there's just a lot of, again, I'm talking about people who think that they're struggling, right? I'm not talking about the wide range of successful minorities who aren't in that boat. They're not in that struggling state. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm here studying Revelation 7 so I can give a talk on the 6th seal. And I just felt like I need to share. And I think in my next video, I'm just going to talk about, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. What am I going to talk about? Well, we'll figure it out. I think there's just a lot. Yeah, I think it's going to go a little bit into politics and into, into that arena, and just bring some thoughts for us to all consider. And I'll say this at the end. The answer here is Jesus, in the sense that, I don't want to just, don't tune out. In the sense that everything that everyone's struggling with is a character issue. It's not a throw money at it and the problem will go away, right? That's always interesting when people get buyouts, say they lose a loved one, right? The money's for, unjustly, and then they get reparations for that. It's like, the money is great, but if you ask them, and they're genuine, does that really replace that person that you lost? And hopefully you'd say no, right? You'd be like, no, this money is okay. I'm living. I can move on in life, but it does not replace. There's no amount of money that can replace this person that I have lost. And so, right, what more needs to be done? That's the question. What more needs to be done before we can say all is forgiven and life can move on? And that's what I'm saying. Jesus is the answer, in the sense that he changes our character. He changes our thoughts and our ideas and our worldview and how we see suffering, because people do suffer. And he says, you are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. You as a Christian, speaking to Christians, are the answer to the injustices that are happening. Right? The government can only go so far, and sometimes they go too far. So the most consistent person is going to be you as a Christian, showing that love of Christ and showing that love and your own genuine love that God has commanded us to have for our fellow men and women. So hopefully this all makes sense. I don't even know, again, if I title this something, hopefully it's good. I feel like I ranted and I rambled, but it's just something that I know that I've needed to do for quite some time, and just share the beginnings of perspective, right? Again, I'm coming from a Christian worldview, so you guys can ask questions, and let's see if we can create some discussion.